all indications shows me that if there's a lockout, if there's any injuries major to him, it's going to take him out.
Yeah, very few people have the ability to say, hey, you know what, it's my fault, it's my bad, I was wrong. Because like I said, you got so many people kissing you got so many people on the payroll who are kissing you.
Lack of discipline, putting on weight, getting to 300 pounds.
He hasn't shown that he's disciplined enough to take care of himself physically.
I got in shape for $2 million. The money these guys are making today, I'd be damn near anorexic for $35, $40 million a year.
They're making 56, you charge.
I know. They'd be like, we got to get Charles to eat. He's anorexic.
The NBA's most coddled superstar is finally facing his day of reckoning. As Zion Williamson's career hangs in the balance, the basketball world watches as reality catches up with the once untouchable prodigy. What makes this wake-up call particularly dramatic is a shocking development that few saw coming, but we'll get to that revelation shortly. In the unforgiving world of professional basketball, accountability is everything. Charles Barkley, never one to mince words, put it perfectly when discussing Zion's situation. I got in shape for $2 million. These guys are making $35 to $40 million a year. And here's something fascinating about Zion's contract situation that rarely gets discussed. But we'll dive into those details later. The reality in New Orleans has become increasingly concerning. While smaller market teams often provide shelter from intense media scrutiny, this might have actually worked against Zion's development. There's an intriguing parallel between Zion's situation and another NBA superstar's career trajectory that changed dramatically after a similar start. But that's a revelation we'll explore further into this story. As we entered 2024, the pattern continued to be troublingly consistent. In January alone, Williamson missed 3 consecutive games due to injury, followed by a solid performance against Minnesota, only to sit out the very next game, a back-to-back situation that healthy stars typically handle with ease. This situation has raised eyebrows across the league, and there's a shocking behind-the-scenes detail about his conditioning program that few people know about. The lack of discipline has become impossible to ignore. Reports of Williamson reaching 300-plus pounds, coupled with questionable dietary habits, paint a picture of a young superstar who hasn't fully grasped the dedication required for NBA longevity. Unlike other markets like New York, Los Angeles, or Boston, where media pressure might have forced earlier intervention, New Orleans' relatively relaxed atmosphere has allowed these issues to persist without significant consequence. The question is no longer about Zion's basketball ability. It's about his commitment to greatness. League sources and team insiders have moved beyond discussing his on-court potential, instead focusing on the fundamental question: what exactly is wrong with Zion Williamson? The start of 2024 would prove to be a pivotal moment in Zion's career trajectory, and there's something about this period that would later send shockwaves through the NBA community, but we'll get to that revelation shortly. The Philadelphia game debacle marked a new low. Williamson wasn't just absent from the court, he was suspended by his own team for missing the team flight and being late for team activities. What makes this situation particularly intriguing is a behind-the-scenes detail about team dynamics that rarely makes headlines, though we'll explore that eye-opening situation later in our story. When he finally returned against Boston, his performance was subpar at best. The pattern that emerged was telling. A game against the Bulls, followed by another DNP, did not play against Dallas, citing conditioning issues. In the span of his supposed return, Williamson had managed to play just 3 games while missing an equal number, a perfect microcosm of his NBA career thus far. Basketball Hall of Famer Scottie Pippen's rare interview about Zion's situation cut straight to the heart of the matter. The 6-time NBA champion pointed out how the Pelicans organization had bent over backwards to accommodate their young star. This wasn't just another veteran taking shots at a young player. There's a fascinating parallel between Pippen's early career development and what Zion lacks, a crucial detail we'll uncover later. Head coach Willie Green, known throughout the league for his player-friendly approach and perhaps being too nice, finally reached his breaking point. For a coach who had built his reputation on patience and understanding, this suspension spoke volumes. Even more telling was the reaction from Green's coaching peers around the league, with one prominent coach sharing an insight that perfectly encapsulates the Zion dilemma. The frustration surrounding Williamson stems from the stark contrast between his otherworldly potential and his current trajectory. Here's a player who, when engaged, displays basketball IQ and athletic abilities that draw comparisons to legends like Charles Barkley and Larry Johnson. The raw talent is undeniable. Even casual observers with basic basketball knowledge can see that Williamson possesses the tools to be an all-time great. Yet, as Pippen astutely noted, the fundamental issue isn't about basketball ability, it's about professionalism. The Pelicans organization's patience, while admirable, might have inadvertently enabled behaviors that would never be tolerated in more scrutinized markets. And this brings us to a crucial turning point in the Zion saga that would soon emerge. The pattern of unprofessionalism extends far beyond a single missed flight. What's particularly revealing about Zion's situation is a behind-the-scenes dynamic that few have discussed, but we'll explore that shocking detail shortly. If you've witnessed similar situations in professional sports, share your thoughts in the comments below. Former teammate J.J. Redick's criticism speaks volumes. Known for his measured, player-friendly approach, Redick broke character to call out Williamson's disengagement 2 years ago. This wasn't just another media hit piece. It was a first-hand account from someone who shared the locker room with Zion. Have you noticed this pattern in other young NBA stars? Drop a yes in the comments if you see the parallel. The fundamental requirements for NBA superstardom aren't complicated. Show up on time, be available, and maintain basic courtesy toward teammates. Yet Williamson has consistently fallen short of these basic expectations. Think about other NBA stars who've transformed their careers through accountability. Let us know in the comments which player's transformation story inspires you the most. Charles Barkley's story about Moses Malone's influence provides a striking contrast. When Barkley was young and undisciplined, Malone's brutal honesty, "You fat and you lazy young fella," became the wake-up call that transformed his career. This mentorship dynamic raises an interesting question. Which NBA veteran do you think could best mentor Zion? Share your picks in the comments section. The Pelicans organization, from ownership to coaching staff, has demonstrated remarkable patience. As Scottie Pippen noted, they've bent over backwards to accommodate Williamson's behavior. But there's a fascinating psychological aspect to this dynamic that we'll reveal later in our analysis. If you're curious about this hidden factor, make sure to stay tuned. The absence of strong veteran leadership in Williamson's development becomes more glaring when compared to past NBA success stories. While today's coaches command respect by title, the impact of peer-to-peer mentorship, like the Barkley-Malone dynamic, often proves more transformative. We'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Comment below with your experience of how mentorship changed your own professional journey. This situation raises a crucial question about the modern NBA's approach to young talent development. Is the league's current environment too permissive? Are we seeing the consequences of a system that prioritizes talent over accountability? Share your perspective in the comments section. The modern NBA presents a unique paradox when it comes to player development and accountability. With players earning unprecedented salaries, the traditional coach-player dynamic has shifted dramatically. There's an intriguing detail about how this power dynamic specifically affected Zion's development, a revelation we'll explore later in our analysis. The Pelicans' approach to handling Williamson exemplifies a broader issue in today's NBA. Their lenient stance, while well-intentioned, may have inadvertently contributed to the problem. The contrast with past eras becomes particularly stark when considering legendary mentors like Dr. J and Moses Malone, whose tough-love approach transformed raw talents into NBA icons. Scottie Pippen's prophetic warning about Zion's future draws a compelling parallel to one of the NBA's most cautionary tales. Without explicitly naming him, Pippen referenced Shawn Kemp's career trajectory, a comparison that sends chills through NBA historians. Like Williamson, Kemp was once a supernatural athletic force, combining power and agility in ways that defied physics. However, the parallel between Kemp and Williamson becomes particularly concerning when examining their conditioning challenges. During the 1999 NBA lockout, Kemp's career took a devastating turn. In Cleveland and Portland, his playing weight ballooned to 270 pounds, eventually reaching nearly 300 pounds during his Orlando stint. The transformation from Rain Man to Sean Clump serves as a stark warning for Williamson's current trajectory. The urgency of Williamson's situation cannot be overstated. When current players and coaches walk on eggshells, afraid to challenge or critique their star, it creates an environment ripe for professional decline. There's a fascinating psychological aspect to this dynamic that few have discussed, but we'll delve into that eye-opening analysis shortly. Most concerning is Pippen's assessment of Williamson's discipline, particularly regarding his physical conditioning. With reports of Williamson's weight fluctuating significantly, the parallels to Kemp's career decline become increasingly alarming. The Pelicans face a critical decision point, and there's an unexpected factor that could force their hand, a development we'll examine in our conclusion. What makes this situation particularly poignant is the stark contrast between Williamson's Duke days, where he was the youngest player on the team, and his current status in the NBA. The transformation from disciplined college athlete to professional question mark raises fundamental questions about the NBA's development system and the role of organizational culture in shaping young talents. The question of veteran leadership brings us to perhaps the most intriguing possibility in Zion's career trajectory. Scottie Pippen's suggestion about who could potentially save Williamson's career opens up a fascinating scenario that few have considered. Enter Pat Riley and the Miami Heat organization. In the landscape of modern NBA culture, Riley stands as a towering figure who has masterfully balanced old-school discipline with modern player development. The Heat's organizational culture, crafted meticulously by Riley and Eric Spoelstra, represents everything Williamson's development has lacked. There's a remarkable story about Riley's impact on another troubled star's career that perfectly parallels this situation, a detail we promised earlier that illuminates just how transformative the right environment can be. In Miami, the standards transcend individual players and eras. The organization's philosophy, often described as militant by some, has consistently produced professionals who maximize their potential. This raises an intriguing what-if scenario. Imagine Williamson, with his generational talent, being drafted by the Heat. The combination of Riley's no-nonsense approach and Miami's renowned conditioning program could have written an entirely different narrative. The modern NBA's player empowerment era presents a double-edged sword. While it has benefited many, cases like Williamson's highlight its potential pitfalls. At just 25 years old, Zion stands at a crucial crossroads. He can either follow the Charles Barkley path of redemption or slide down the Shawn Kemp route of unfulfilled potential. Consider this compelling analogy. Williamson is like that brilliantly talented co-worker who produces exceptional work when present but becomes increasingly unreliable, arriving late, leaving early, and gradually transforming from an asset into a liability. The raw talent remains undeniable, but the supporting habits that transform potential into greatness are conspicuously absent. As we conclude this analysis of Zion Williamson's career crossroads, the path forward remains uncertain, but the stakes couldn't be higher. We've explored the patterns, examined the parallels, and unveiled the hidden factors that could determine his legacy. The basketball world watches with bated breath, hoping this generational talent can right the ship before it's too late. If you found this analysis insightful and want to stay updated on more NBA deep dives like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Your support helps us continue bringing you these in-depth analyses of the game's most compelling stories. Drop a like if you agree that Zion still has time to turn things around, and share your thoughts in the comments on whether you think he'll follow the Barkley or Kemp path. Together, let's keep the conversation going about one of basketball's most intriguing talents.